Arvest Bank is pleased to bring you the Legend Series, where we focus on individuals who are committed to their communities, much like Arvest.
So what I did is, seeing all of this happening, I started building equipment for the consumer. We're talking about bands in Springfield. We had bands all over the country. We had dealers. We had a couple of dealers here. Lines Music was a dealer of ours, several other dealers in those days. And so they started selling Heil mixers and power amplifiers and speakers that we built in Marissa. We had 35 people working. And of course, the talk box and all other kinds of crazy little things that we would build for them. And it was the ham radio background. I'm not an engineer, but you give me a soldering iron and a bag of resistors and something will happen. And that's the whole point of it, is you just move forward and make it the best you can. And that's what happened as we brought Heil Sound practically from just a Hammond organ dealer to a major supplier. There was one other little fun part of that. It was a couple of dates onto the tour. I didn't go on the Dead tour because I had all this stuff going on, and so I had a couple of guys that were road dogs for me, roadies, and one thing that was good about them, that was a blessing, they both came from SIU in Carbondale, but they were Grateful Dead fans. They knew every piece of music. If you know the music, you can mix better. And so John and Peter were a real pivotal point of making that Who tour, or the Grateful Dead tour, really happen, because they knew the music. Right. And Jerry called me a couple of shows in, and he said, hey Bob, what is this ye old music, which we had painted on the cabinets? I said, well, that's my music shop. He said, man, we have trouble saying all that. We're just going to call you Heil Sound. Is that okay? So I guess it is that Jerry Garcia named my company, which a lot of people say, well, it's your name. Yes, but it wasn't that. It was ye old music. But all of that is defined in the history books today of music, and we're very blessed that all of it just happened. But things happen, but you have to take that and make it happen. It just doesn't appear. It'll be there. It'll be on a platform. But as a businessman, you have to say, ooh, this could be something. And that's what we've done all of our life. I listen to the musicians intently, what they want. And most of the larger companies, they would hire these incredible engineers and pay millions of dollars for all their workshops and labs, but they forgot one important part: the musician. He's the guy, she's the gal. They know what they want to hear, they want it to be a certain way, and most of the manufacturers really don't care. It's what their bottom line is after they have this thing created and they do the marketing and the boxing and the selling and all that. What about the musician? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that has really made Heil Sound what we are today is I go on tour with them. I spend time with them in rehearsals. Rehearsals are very important. Before any tour happens, they'll spend a week or two in rehearsal halls. There's quite a nice one in Burbank, and there's 11 halls. And think about this a minute. They're the size of a basketball gymnasium, 11 of them, and they're all acoustically perfect. And you can go there. It's very, very well guarded and secure, because you have artists, very high-ranking artists, rehearsing there. Mm-hmm. And what we do in rehearsals is everything. They play the music, the band gets together, they do their clothing, they know exactly what instruments. Last but not least, after each day, they load all the gear into the truck, and the next morning unload it, because they then know how long. And let's see, do we need this amp that goes on first, or does that amp come out? What has to happen in the sequence to make it flow? Because now some of these artists have 15, 16 semi-trucks and 9 buses. That was Carrie Underwood's last. Think about that. 16 semis and 9 buses. So it gets a little bit crazy.
Now, I think it's interesting. That's something that you personally do. As the founder of the company, as the owner, as the chief inventor for Heil Sound, you don't delegate that particular task. You go yourself.
I usually go myself, yes. And because after we figure this all out, it's the engineers and the mixing people for the band. They each have their own people. Many of them, many of the bands might have 10 or 12 engineers on a tour, because these things are enormous today. They're spectacles, and they need all these lighting engineers and audio and all this stuff. And so once we figure it out in rehearsals, my job is done. We just provide them the microphones that they need to make things sound right and make sure the artist is happy with it.
Like the individuals highlighted in the Legend series, Arvest Bank is committed to our community. Click on the link below to find out ways that you can engage with us to help make Springfield great.